And a good evening, everyone. And I know that those of you joining us here on Quad Radio Live tonight are kind of wondering what's taking so long. Well, I'll tell you what's taking so long. I'm trying to line up like 100 different things going on tonight. I'm hoping to mix things up just a little bit. Got a couple of folks on tap. Pat McGuire, the XC2 points leader in the Pro-Am class of the GNCC, is lined up and going to be talking here in just a few moments. Also, I've got Thomas Brown from the World of AMA ATV National Motocross Championship Racing, and we are also hoping to squeeze in to the broadcast tonight one Michael Super Trap, as he's got some pretty interesting information for those of you that are out there in the GNCC points land. Interesting thing about the way things are scored, and we'll talk a little bit about that and about him and what he does that really kind of keeps us up to date on what's going on as far as the amateur ranks are concerned and the overalls. For those, if you're wondering about that, it's going to come up a little bit later on. It's also featured on quadzone.com if you ever check that out. It's a pretty cool website. It's a forum zone. Also want to say thanks to our friends tonight at Impact Solutions, and they are your factory-authorized Elka suspension dealer at 985 Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia. 304-863-0025 is the number you want to dial there. And, of course, Elka Suspension is looking for folks that want to run on the Elka suspension for 2013. Contingency programs are open and things of that nature, so send in your resumes to Impact Solutions, or actually Elka Suspension. You can go to elkasuspension.com, and you can also find out more, I'm sure, by contacting your friends there in Parkersburg, West Virginia, your U.S. factory authorized service center. So pretty cool folks, and pretty cool suspension. And I had a chance to meet with some of the folks up out of Canada, the headquarters, the worldwide headquarters up there, and some pretty good folks, to say the least. Got a telephone call coming in there, and that is one LP Pat McGuire, I believe that is. So we'll be going to the line here in mere moments with that, of course. And we were talking about LP. I sure hope that's him, because we're going to go live about right now. LP, is that you, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, I think I got you cranked up a little bit too loud right now, but like I say, man, I've been stringing you along for the last little bit and everything, but we are up and we are loud and we are proud here on Quad Radio Live, and welcome on a Wednesday night. Gosh, I guess this would be the second Wednesday of October, 10/10/12, 10/10/2012. That's a pretty neat date, as we say hello to points leader LP Pat McGuire. Pat, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Actually doing pretty good right now. I just left Angel Outwell's house. Her and Dallas happy ever. She cut my hair, and they made an awesome dinner. Not really used to a home cooked meal, so that was awesome.
Well, you saying your dad don't cook, or what's going on there?
Well, it's just me and my dad, and we're always real busy, so we don't get too much time to eat right and cook and stuff like that. So
is that why you're so skinny, man?
That might be part of it.
Now, how much do you weigh, dude?
Like 138, 139, somewhere in there.
Is that if you're soaking wet?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. It's maybe 140 if I eat a lot.
Wow, wow. So how do you maneuver a quad around that small?
I don't know. Just kind of gotta be smooth with it, I guess. Kind of just go with it.
Well, I would imagine that's a pretty big feat. You do a pretty good job of it. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, so Angel cut your hair, and that's one thing that probably a lot of people don't realize is that Angel Atwell, former GNCC Women Class champion, and also contender for that championship this year, I think up until this past weekend, whenever, if I understand it correctly, Tracy Checo sealed the deal on 9 championships, and that was a pretty cool feat. They're going to have a pretty special awards presentation for her at the Ironman GNCC coming up. But nonetheless, so Angel is I wouldn't call her a barber, a beautician, I guess.
Yeah, hairstylist, something like that.
Hairstylist. You don't like the word beautician, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. Well, let's talk about this, man. A big season for you in 2012. I know we've touched base a couple different times after some of the events and even before some of the events, and we've kind of let you go a little bit here so far and give you an opportunity to I guess take a deep breath and figure things out. And it looks like you're only 2 rounds away from winning the championship, man. Possibly.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's still up in the air. I'm kind of weird about jinxing myself. Everybody saying, "Oh, you know, you should win the championship." I just kind of just go with it. Try not to think about that too much, but it's definitely always in the back of my head, you know, something that I really always wanted to do, kind of worked for a long time. So, I don't know, just going to try to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully everything plays out at the end of the year.
So, how many years have you been contesting the Pro-Am class?
This is my 2nd year.
Wow. So you think that you learned a lot in that short amount of time?
Yeah. I mean, my first year in the class, I felt like I honestly don't feel much faster this year. I just feel like last year was just a lot of learning. I broke a lot of stuff. I wrecked a lot. I just did a lot of dumb stuff. And this year I've kind of done the opposite.
Do you think it has a lot to do with luck, or what's the maturity in the way you're riding?
Definitely. Just, I mean, I think you make your own luck. I don't really think that I don't think that there's a good luck or bad luck. I kind of think you make that, and I think just this year it smoothed it out a lot. Just kind of instead of riding around, bounce off the rope under the whole race, just flip it up a gear and just relax a little bit, think a little more.
You've had a lot of thinking to do. Well, probably not a lot of time to think, man, because you've come from behind in a lot of these races just to salvage what you could throughout your quest, I guess, throughout this 2012 season.
Yeah, definitely been some races where I started behind and just kind of had to try to work my way up. It seems like towards the second half of the race, I end up doing better, but if I can get out to a good start, it seems like that always helps too.
Yeah, I know you're always tough to catch. The only person that I seen was able to catch you was Gabe Phillips, man, and he gave you a real run for your money up there at Snowshoe. Pushed you, I guess, probably about a mile to the end there before the checkers. I guess you led the entire race, didn't you?
Yeah, that one was a little bit disappointing, not gonna lie, but yeah, he ended up reeling me in and passed me for the win at the end there.
Go ahead and rub it in, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all in all, though, man, I mean, the aside from that, I mean, and an unfortunate incident with him having the broken collarbone, the 6 broken ribs, and the collapsed lung there on Labor Day weekend. He's out for the season. That's left you and basically Braden and Eric Hoyland they're in the driver's seat for the championship right now, and it looks like that you and Braden are actually starting to stretch out just a little bit as far as the points are concerned, and it's becoming a two-man shootout as we head into the final 2 rounds. This past weekend, man, you guys had a pretty good battle. I mean, it was a pretty good race. From what I remember, it seemed like it was, one of those you never knew what was going to happen, and I think that's the way it ended. We were kind of like, wow, man, how did that end up happening?
Yeah, it started out as weird. I mean, I started out, Eric jumped the line, and I was right behind him off the start, and, I mean, I didn't get to walk the track. I never get to walk the track or anything. I just kind of wing it, but, yeah, I don't know. I got passed by, I think, Braden, Matt Hanna, and some other people, and I just kept falling back until about halfway through, and I think I was a couple minutes back from Braden, and then the last lap or two, everything got switched around. I think I was in 4th, and then I jumped up to 2nd, and it was just crazy on the last lap how things switched around so much. I think Matt Hanna was leading for a good bit.
Yeah. What happened to him?
Yeah. From what I heard, he got stuck in the mud hole or something like that. I haven't talked to him, so I don't really know exactly what happened.
Now, how bad was that mud hole this weekend?
I didn't come up on it when there was, people stuck, but the main line was awesome. I mean, they made a jump right over the mud, and really I thought it was great. I mean, it's full field spectators. I guess you could put on a little show, but I mean, really, it wasn't very difficult. I guess you had to go around it. I'd never had to go around the jump, so I thought it wasn't too bad, honestly.
So you made it through without much of a problem, then, huh?
Yeah, from what I heard, I mean, I heard a couple people wrecked, and like the main line would get bottled up, and you'd have to go around, but I didn't really have that problem at all.
Well, when it come down to it, I guess Braden got the win, and see, where did you end up? And how did that? I can't remember how the XC2 podium went, to be honest with you.
It was me, or Braden, then me, and then Josh Merritt.
Merritt, that's it. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, you seem like that right there is a pretty interesting thing and a pretty interesting story in of itself. We're going to probably get into that in another Quad Radio episode later on in the winter. But anyway, yeah, it was good to see Josh Merritt up there, man. I mean, that's a pretty big surprise, I thought, at least from my standpoint.
Yeah, me and Josh, we've always gotten along real well, and like I said, I kept falling back, and he was behind me, and he ended up passing me at one point, and I don't know, I started riding with him, and he was riding awesome. I mean, I just followed with him, and we were making up time, and I don't know, that really kind of got me back in the groove, and the last lap, I made things happen a little bit. I ended up getting around him. He was, I think, getting a little tired, but I thought you were great. It was good to see him up on the podium.
Yeah, we've seen a good mix of people up on the podium this year as far as the XC2 Pro-Am class is concerned. That's pretty exciting because that, again, means the talent field is deepening even more than what we realized, I think, at the beginning of the season. Oh, yeah. I mean, next year is going to be crazy, too. There's, Landon Wolf, he beat the whole Pro-Am class in the overall. I mean, there's a lot of fast A-class kids that are probably going to be moving up here to Ironman in the next race that have, locked their position up. And there's, definitely a lot of talent coming up that, they got a lot of help behind them. And for sure.
It'll be interesting.
For sure. Now, I got to ask you, now, what about, I talked to Gabe last week, and he told me that he is going to be making the step up to the XC1 Pro class next year. And I'm assuming that since you're still kind of fresh to this XC2 Pro-Am class and winning if you win the championship, you're going to want to stick around and defend the #1 plate. And if you don't want to win, you're going to want to come back and try to win it again, I'm assuming. So I'm just assuming here.
Yeah, I don't know. That's been a big question here. I mean, honestly, a couple weeks ago, I haven't told that many people this, but word's gotten around. I was talking about after this year if I can win the championship to hang it up and try to do some other things with my life. And
wow.
I mean, either way, me and my dad are still going to be at the races on the weekends doing the tire bowl stuff, and we might have some other things going on next year. But I was just tossing that around, and I don't know. I talked to my dad the other night, and he just must ask me what I want to do, and I don't know. Really, I want to keep racing as long as I can. It's it's all I've done. It's all I'm good at, and I don't know. It's just getting some help with bikes. I got that one new bike for this year, and it's been awesome. It makes me realize that having nice equipment, really does help.
Yeah.
So,
and you just have one bike, and if you could get more, how much nicer that could be, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it'd be awesome if I could get help with a couple bikes next year and parts and stuff like that. If I could do that, I'd definitely stay in it and hopefully have more time to ride.
Yeah, and that's something that I think that probably a lot of people don't even realize about you is that, and we've talked about this in previous interviews, but I mean, you're a busy individual. I mean, this past weekend, you showed me the tip of your left finger, or one of your, I think it was your thumb, your left thumb. And basically the tip of that finger was just kind of ripped off in an accident that took place at work earlier in the week, right?
Yeah, I was really worried about that this weekend. I mean, it bothered me. It definitely looked pretty bad, but I was able to kind of work with it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I work get close to 40 hours a week, and then I take 5 classes in college too. So, like going into the race this last weekend, the last time I rode was Unadilla. I mean, I didn't get any time to ride in between the two races. So,
wow, that's pretty wild, man. That's pretty interesting stuff right there. I can only imagine what it would be like if you had the opportunity to train and focus, man. I hope somebody's listening in can point somebody in your direction, at least give you one more opportunity, one more year, maybe, with the right backing and see what you could possibly pull off. But so that hinges on whether you do or don't win the championship. Now, if you don't win the championship, does that mean you're going to come back and try it in the same fashion that you're doing it now, or in hopes of maybe getting some more support, or what's going on there?
I mean, honestly, I'm not sure. It seems like my mind changes every week, but like I said, if I could get some help where I can make it easier and put more time into riding and doing things to make me a better rider, I would definitely, give my all next year. It's just, it's just really frustrating whenever, like I said, didn't even ride for 2 or 3 weeks before the race, and I don't know, it would just help out a lot if I could get more time that way.
It sure would.
It seems like it's that and working on bikes all the time too. It's just a nonstop battle.
Yeah, because it's not as bad as it was last year, but I mean, I remember last year you were piecing like 2 or 3 different bikes together, old beater bikes that you had basically, and just trying to make one good bike out of it. Yeah, I'm still kind of doing that now. Like I said, I have that one bike that I got from Billy, and that's what I've been using at the GNCCs. But as far as the practice bike, I'm just piecing some stuff together to actually try to race this weekend at an A-Works race. So. Do you get to do a lot of other racing other than GNCC? I guess not, the way it sounds, the way you're working and everything.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, I did end up having, I put a lot of time, trying to get a bike together and race on, 1 local or 2 local races on the weekends, but, right now, I haven't been able to do much, but I was able to do more at the beginning of the year. I had more bikes together and stuff like that, and I'm just kind of limited right now on what I have to put together to go out and ride.
But it amazes me, man. You seem to pull it off every week. I mean, mechanical issues haven't so far been much of an issue for you so far. Your riding hasn't been much of an issue. I mean, all in all, this has been a pretty remarkable year for you, has it not?
Yeah, it's definitely been it's gone pretty smooth for, for a low budget program I got going on, and just a lot of time. I mean, it's definitely gone pretty well.
Now,
sorry, I just got home, kind of walking around the house.
That's all right.
Saying hi to my dad.
Well, that's good, man. Your dad told me he was out in the garage messing around there a little bit ago. Is he still out there?
Yeah, he just walked out. I had the van, and he actually bought my truck off of me. I got that red jet I used all this weekend, and he sold his truck and bought my truck, so kind of did all swapping around.
Wow. So you got a lot of change going on there, and maybe even a bigger change coming on pretty soon with that #1 plate. Now, real quick, I want to try to get in with Mike Trapp here in a little bit also, and I've also got coming up about 10:15 Thomas Brown from the ATV Motocross National. You're listening to Quad Radio Live. Right now we have LP Pat McGuire on the line with us. He is the current points leader in the XC2 Pro-Am class of the GNCC, the number 591. And Pat, let's talk about a couple of other things before we get out of here. One of those in particular, I guess, is the relationship that you have with your on-track nemesis, I guess, is the best way to put it, because off-track, I understand you guys are pretty good buddies, and the guy that I'm talking about is the young gun, the rookie in that XC2 Pro-Am class, and that's Braden Henthorn. He's the second place in points. You guys are, what, 16, 15 points apart now?
Yeah, 16, I believe.
Tell me about your guys' relationship. I mean, you guys really seem to be like pretty good buddies and stuff. I mean, really good friends.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if closer, I feel like we'd probably be out on the town blowing smoke in diesel trucks and, racing cars and stuff like that. But, we live 4 hours away from each other, so we don't get to hang out as much as we'd like to. But, we were down in Florida this winter riding together. I don't know, we get along really, really well, and we kind of figured at the beginning of the year that we were going to, be on back and forth, but it honestly hasn't affected, our friendship or anything like that. So that's been, Rick, like I said on the podium last race, Rick and Angie, they always feed me and stuff like that after we're done work and stuff like that. So it's, awesome.
Sounds like feeding you is a good way to get on your good side.
Oh yeah, we don't eat too much at the races, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, the Henthorns, man, and not just the Henthorns, but there's a lot of good people at the GNCC, but definitely the Henthorns rank right up there with the best of them. There's no doubt about it. They are good people, but that's good to know that you guys have got that kind of camaraderie and stuff heading down to the championship. So even if you don't win, are you going to be somewhat satisfied if Braden's the one that wins the championship?
Yeah, if I could pick anybody else that I would, like to see up there that would get the championship, it would be Braden. He puts a lot of time into it, and, we kind of, at the beginning of the year, we were always hoping we were going to be 1 and 2, so.
Wow, that's always cool whenever you can make something like that happen. I mean, couldn't have written a better story on that, that's for sure. So really happy that that it's working out like that for you guys. I just hope that he feels the same way about it that you do.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I mean, he wants to win it. I want to win it. It's just that it's pretty cool. We can be friends and not have to battle it out off the track too. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you get back. Sounds like you're kind of preoccupied and trying to get some things going on there. So we'll let you wrap up your evening because I'm sure you got an early. What time you get up in the morning and go to work?
I work an hour away, so we start at 6. I have to leave at 5.
Wow. So you get up even earlier than that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's sometimes my boss Bill. He's a real good guy, and he's real flexible with the schedule with racing and all that. So if I'm late, like every once in a while, he's all right with it. trying to take habit of it, but I mean, getting up at 5 or getting up at 4:30 is pretty hard.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I know I have a tough time with it. I used to do sign-ons at radio station, and that was the worst thing in the world, especially when my lifestyle was I was usually laying down about the time my alarm was going off, so it didn't work so well.
Oh, yeah, I hear you there. I mean, I can definitely relate there, up in the garage late or just doing stuff late, and then you're like, wow, I got to get up in 2 hours.
Yep, the night slips away quickly, that's for sure. What kind of haircut did Angel give you, by the way?
I don't know how to describe it. The last one she gave me, I didn't even get to see it until I got home because she didn't have a mirror, and I just kind of trusted her, and it looked pretty good. So I just told her, whatever you're thinking, whatever you think, it looked good.
There you go. So she didn't take any frustrations out on losing the championship to Tracy or anything this year on your hair, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Did she say anything about Tracy while you guys were...
she's disappointed. She obviously wants it, and there's always, I think, been a little bit of tension there, but I don't want to say too much and get anyone in trouble, so...
Oh, I know. I was just playing. I was hoping you wouldn't go there, but I was going to let you go a little bit if you was. No, those girls, they love each other, man. There's no doubt about it. There is a great competition between the women's class. There's no doubt about it, and those two obviously are at the focal point of it. They have been for the past couple years and few years anyway. But yeah, just really good women's class battling, and I'm sure you got your ears full tonight. And there's nothing wrong with that because I'm sure she was pretty frustrated because she wanted to win that one as bad as anybody, I'm sure. And she'll be back at it again next year. That's what's going to be pretty cool. At least I hope she's going to be back at it. She hasn't given any indication that she's done or anything, has she?
No, I think she'll be back. Actually, we've become pretty close in the past year, and I don't know, she's in the same situation I'm in, just trying to find help, and who knows, we could be on the same. We were on Greg's ATV team, but that kind of fell through, and I don't know. Maybe we'll be on the same team again next year.
Well, maybe. You guys seem to have pretty good. Especially, wouldn't it be cool if you guys did get on the same team? You could quit your job and you guys could train. Because I mean, she is an animal when it comes to training. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That girl knows how to train, and between the two of you guys training together and riding together and as a team, I think it could be. Somebody listen to what I'm saying here and start writing some checks. How about that?
Yeah, I walked into her house and. She actually just got home from work at the same time, and she was carrying in a thing of groceries. I'm looking at it, it's all like fruits and vegetables and stuff, and I was like, wow, it must be nice to be able to sit here and, she eats really well, and, they have I told her there's a stationary bike in there, and I don't know, Dallas always makes jokes about how she makes them eat nuts and berries all week, trying to,
Well, it seems to pay off because I mean she's in peak physical condition. There's no doubt. I wouldn't want to meet her in a dark alley. She could definitely whoop up on somebody. I bet that's for sure.
Yep. Hopefully, I can have her on my side next year.
There you go. There you go. Well, Pat, any shout outs you want to give to anybody or anything before we let you go, buddy?
Yeah. Biggest thing I need to think about. He's been here since day one. Lately, we've gotten a lot closer. I feel like, man, he's just been off lately. It seemed like we were kind of fighting back and forth and stuff like that. But I mean, just I don't know. Recently, it's been awesome. He's been really supportive. Couldn't ask for more.
Who you talking about? You kind of cut out there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm outside. The wind was blowing, but I said my dad. He was, just the biggest help. He's basically, made his whole life revolve around me, and couldn't ask for more there. The other, all my friends, family, ITV Tires, they helped me out, all this year. It's been great. Tire balls, Fast Flex handlebars, custom access shock. My boss, Bill Graff, ITC, Quad Radio, you're help me out here, get a little, media coverage, I guess.
Well, you deserve it, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Waynesburg Yamaha, Skater Racing, CV4, Crossroads Motorsports, Sunstar Sprockets, Silkline Oil, Raff Racing, JB Racing, Moose Racing, HMS, Power Steel USA, Spider Graphics, Spider Grips, Twin Air, VP Racing Fuels, Whiteco, Recluse, Precision, Power Mad, Hot Cams, Billy Hoop for giving me the bike. Didn't want to miss that one. Amy McCall, Cross Country Photos. Anybody else I'm missing, just, I appreciate everybody's help. So.
Well, man, I tell you, I'm sure they appreciate the way you ride, too, because you definitely do a good job for putting their name out there. And I'm glad, and I appreciate you putting my name out there with Quad Radio. That means a lot to help get the word spread, that's for sure. Pat, again, man, thanks for being a part of this Wednesday night's Quad Radio Live, and hope the best for you, man. I know you got a championship to possibly win, and I don't want to put, like I've been saying, I just don't want to put too much pressure on you. Keep having fun, man. Keep doing what you're doing. All right.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks a lot again. I really appreciate you giving me the time to let everybody know pretty much my daily life.
Well, I tell you, man, people need to know how hard a working young man you are, for sure. That is LP, as they call him, Lil Pat. That's his dad's name's Pat too. Is the reason they got BP and LP, and we want to say thanks to those guys for being a big part of the GNCC family, and of course LP tonight for being a big part of Quad Radio Live. And I'm going to hang up. Whoa! I just dropped my phone, but I'm going to hang up on Pat right now, and I'm going to call one Michael Trapp here and see if we can't get him on the line and see what's going on there. See, this guy does something that I think is pretty neat. He keeps up to date with all the points as far as the national numbers are concerned. And anyway, it's kind of a I guess you could say it's unofficial, but it's always pretty accurate. And a lot of times they key off of his points. He does it. He goes through it with a fine-tooth comb. And we'll see if we can't get Michael Trapp on the line here in just a moment and talk a little bit more about that and how the points are breaking down. And he sent a pretty interesting note to me actually through the email. Mike, you online, buddy?
Yes, I'm right here, Rodney. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine. Again, want to say thanks to our friends at Impact Solutions, factory authorized service center for Elka suspension here in the United States. You send your Elka suspension in for factory's authorized service work. Well, that is where it goes, right straight to Impact Solutions. So you've got, some kind of an issue with it from warranty or something like that. Well, Impact Solutions, your factory authorized services center for Elka suspension, 985 Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia, 304-863-0025. It is Impact Solutions on Facebook and also ImpactSolutionsATV.com on the World Wide Web. As once again we go live to one Michael Supertramp. And Mike, good evening and welcome to Quad Radio, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Rodney. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, not a problem, buddy. A big part of the Quad Zone folks over there, one of the big forums that has been keeping the love of ATV racing alive for the past few years. And, something that, gosh, I don't even know how long you've been doing it, but you've been keeping track of the national point standings in GNCC for quite some time anyway.
Yeah, I think I've been doing it since like '02, or I think was when I first started doing it, because I think in '01 you guys were actually posting them on your website after each race. That was back when you guys were just running one race, just a single race. There wasn't morning and afternoon, and before you guys brought the youth class back. Now because of the number of entries, you had to split it up, and then the demand for the youth class is the race. So.
Yeah, and that's has nothing to do with me. I don't know, but I know who you're talking about. You're talking about GNCC and Racer Productions. I do work for those people, but I don't know why they don't do that anymore. But what it does is it makes it interesting for you, because I honestly, the way you go through that with a fine-tooth comb, man, I don't think. It makes you keep us up to date. You're so the heart that you put into this, man. I mean, it makes it interesting to keep up with, because I know how much work you put into it. But first and foremost, let's tell the folks just exactly who Michael Trapp is, and because you're more than just a points keeper, I guess, right?
Yeah, I've been racing for a good while now. I started back in '99, actually, doing locals when a buddy got me into it. He took me out and showed me what ATV racing was about, and I looked at him and said, "This is easy. This looks like something I can do." So I took my old 85 or 86, I think it was an 86 Suzuki Quad Racer, one of the old 250 two-strokes, and went racing. And the following year, I upgraded to a 91 Suzuki Quad Racer and raced District 11 for a couple of years, and then switched in '01, started racing a little bit of nationals. So I've been around for a while, and I started calculating the numbers, because when the Racer Production stopped doing it online, I kind of wanted to know where I was at. So, and then I talked to Harlan Foley from it used to be ATV, it used to be EX Riders, and now it's ATV Riders. And then, I can't think of Rico's, how I know him by, on Quad Zone, and we ended up hooking up, and he ended up taking over the numbers and wanting an exclusive deal, and me and Laz talked, because Laz has a pretty strong backing in the Quad Zone website, so, and we agreed that I'd do them exclusively for Quad Zone. So from there, it kind of was a great match for me and Quad Zone to be able to distribute the numbers to them, and so I passed them off to Popo in an email, which is Gary, who actually used to race the utilities there for a while, and before that he was racing the senior class, I think, or the vet class there for a little bit. So, and then this past year I started passing them along to you as well, so that you could use them for one more thing to talk about at the races.
Right, and here's something neat that people probably don't know or understand. Each year, the GNCC assigns numbers to the how is it? I guess it's how is it broke down? Because I guess it's the top 100. You can get assigned a number in your class, and the way it works is like the A classes and the B classes are the 100s. You know, like the 1 to 200. I guess it would be 100 to 200, and then the 200. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Your morning race, they start, which is your morning, the women's C-class riders, your beginners, and your utilities. Their number system starts from 200, and the number is 201. And the numbers are based on overall finishes for best out of 11 races. You have to have 9 races to earn a number. So they take 9 minimum, 11 max. If you run all 13, you get to throw 2 races away.
So that's how the morning series is based. So 201 is the best number you can get if you race the morning series, which up until last year only a female has held. Dave Simmons was the first male to ever have the 201 plate, and he's pretty much got it clinched this year. I think now. I haven't really looked into it, but I'm pretty positive he's got it locked up at this point. And then the afternoon race, what they call the pro race, the top 20 numbers is based on your overall finishes on a different point scale. They get 30 points for overall, whereas if you're outside the top 20, and they post that on GNCC's website still. If you're outside the top 20, you get 500 points for first place overall, and the numbers for the afternoon are basically 21 through whatever, depending on how many people race the afternoon series, at minimum of 9 races. Right now, I think it's only down to 111 is the highest number an afternoon racer can have, because there's only been 111 or so guys that have raced the minimum races, which right now you have to have 7 races in to count, because we still got 2 left, so they can still get the 9.
You know, that here's something interesting about that. That don't seem like a whole lot of numbers, but I caught wind of some numbers today. You know that this has been one of the most successful GNCC numbers-wise since 2007. 2007 holds the record as far as the number of attendees that we had throughout the season. And this year, believe it or not, in this economic times, is going to be the second guaranteed, and if the next 2 races are huge, could quite possibly even surpass 2007 numbers, just to let you know that, just a sidebar. But anyway, back to what you're saying there. So to grab one of these numbers, that's a pretty prestigious thing, man. I mean, to be a top in one of your classes, right?
Yeah, to not only, I mean, everybody goes out and they battle. The most important thing is your points in your individual class. That's not, everybody wants to win a championship. But to be able to say that I was ranked this in the nation, whether it's 201, I was the fastest morning racer to race this year. There was nobody that raced in the morning that could beat me over the course of the season, over an entire season. And the afternoon's the same way, because what it does is it gauges you versus everybody else that raced in the afternoon. And for somebody like me who's still racing B, for me to finish last year, I finished 61st in the nation. I mean, that's kind of a big deal for a B rider to be somewhat that high up, to have that number, because, I mean, in past years, this was the second year I've been able to grab a number below 100. Wow. The year before was 80, and then this past year was 61. I'm on the pace I'm on right now. I more than likely won't be able to grab a top 60 number, because my overall finishes haven't been the greatest at times this year. I've had some really good ones. I've finished 58th overall at the race that I won this year, which that's my personal best on an overall finish. So, and running in the afternoon, I finished 20th in the morning overall, and that was with 330 riders.
Wow!
In the morning, and that was an Ironman. I mean, when you're talking numbers here a little bit ago about record turnouts. You've already had the largest record turnout at Unadilla that you've ever had at a single event, and you're talking the possibility of this being the biggest year, but yet you've got your two of your biggest races yet to come. Mm-hmm. Ironman and Loretta's normally have the biggest turnouts for you guys year to year, because, I mean, Ironman's legendary, and same with Loretta's. Those are the two tracks that I always look forward to going to each year because of the history at those tracks. I mean, in years past, Ironman was the track you wanted to race, because I remember when I first started racing, it was at that time, in 2002 and that, they were still talking that, hey, if you finished Ironman, you were doing something, because that track just destroyed equipment. Because it was the last race of the year, and you had all those hills to climb. I mean, I remember when they used to talk about Mama Bear, Papa Bear, and Baby Bear Hill. I don't know if we still climb them anymore or not, because they keep changing the course around. But I remember when I first started, I mean, and some of the neatest memories I've got of racing has been from Ironman on those hills. And then you go to the legendary Loretta's after that, where champions have been made. I mean, on the motocross side, it's just cool being able to race on that motocross course.
Yeah. And something I want to pass along right here while you're mentioning Loretta Lynn's this year. I want to remind everyone that this year, Loretta Lynn's, we're switching things around. The bikes are going to race on Saturday, and ATVs are going to race on Sunday. And just need to kind of remind folks of that. I guess it kind of slipped my mind. I've been mentioning it the last race, or I mentioned it a few times, but we really need to start harping on that so people can remember that.
Yeah.
Now,
well, go ahead, Rodney.
No, go ahead.
I was going to talk to you about, say something about what I was talking to you at Powerline about the national numbers, how we were discussing the overalls.
Oh, I think you're going right where I was going to go.
how we were talking about the overalls and the fact that a couple years ago they changed how the top 20 was, because the top 20 used to be based on a 20-point system, and now it's went to a 30-point system instead. And part of the reason behind that was because there was a season that Matt Smiley was on the podium every race, and no other racer had done that. And if they would have used the current point system, he more than likely would have stole one of the championships from Balance.
Wow.
Which he wouldn't have had, which he might not have got the 9 in a row.
Wow.
If that would have happened. Well, now we're getting the reverse effect of that, because the consistency has been there for one pro rider this year, but yet it doesn't really show up in the top 20 numbers because he's not up towards the top 3 or top 5. He's actually sitting like 7th or 8th right now, and that's Johnny Gallagher. Johnny Gallagher actually is the only rider now, because Boris's four-wheeler caught on fire at the last race. Johnny is the only rider to have finished in the top 20 all 11 rounds.
No kidding.
He's actually, if by my numbers, if you throw out the top 20 and you go straight up by my numbers, Johnny is actually second in the points and will be sporting the number 2 plate at this point in time next year. and on top of that, he's only 45 points behind Boris, whereas Walker Fowler would be still sitting 3rd, but he's 100 points behind Boris. So
wow.
Gallagher has actually averaged a better finish about by a good bit. After the next race, though, when they start doing when I start doing my drops, Gallagher will fall a little bit because Walker's only had one bad race, so he'll move up.
Right.
So, but it's just kind of interesting to see somebody, and Johnny's been around a long time at this, and I mean, to be able to see him have that consistent of a season, it's great for him, and I mean, he's a great guy and he deserves it. But the further you look at the numbers, the top 20 by my count would put Chris first, Johnny second, Walker Fowler, and then Pat McGuire, who you just had on, and then after that it would be Matt Hanna, and then Landon Wolf would be sitting 6th.
Wow.
So I mean, you only have two actual pro riders in the top 6, and I think the next pro actually is Kevin Yoho, who's in 8th.
Whoa. So
yeah.
Now, do you have these posted for fun anywhere on Quad Zone?
No.
Those numbers.
No,
those are just numbers that you gave me.
Yes, you've got the only copy of those right now, other than I have the originals here. I can send them to Gary and have him post them just for fun, but I don't know if it would be worth causing the stir or not on it. I mean,
we need some excitement, man.
well, have you heard what Laz is already doing? I mean, he started something at Powerline, and I don't know how much has actually gotten out, because he's also posted it on Quad Zone, but I don't think he's told whose it actually is. He had a Honda 250R at the track at Powerline. I don't know if you saw it or not. It's a 250R project quad that Laz and GT Thunder is building, and they're going to retro it to all the Honda 450R parts to bring it to current day standards. And he told me that a pro rider will be on it next year in the pro class.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, and I know the pro rider that's going to be on it because he told me. And I don't know if he's let the cat out of the bag online yet or not. So I think that's going to be a pretty big stir once it starts going around. But I think it's kind of neat.
Can we get any hints?
you have to talk to him, or you have to start interviewing the top pros to find out whose it's going to be.
Oh, man.
It's not a top 5.
It's not top 5.
No. So it's somebody outside the top 5, but because I guess since you guys changed the rules, and as long as it's got an OEM frame on it, you can run it. It doesn't have to be a production quad because Suzuki is no longer making their 450 right now, and Honda just came back with their 450. So when you guys had to change the rules to say as long as it's OEM frame and this and that, so anybody right now, as long as the rules are written that way, can go out and run a 250R with a stock OEM frame, and as long as it doesn't have more than a 4-gallon gas can, and whatever other rules you guys have got. So I think it'll be interesting next year if you start seeing some people moving up in the pro and pro-am classes on these old R's and see if they actually can run with the new stuff.
That will be interesting to see. That's for sure. So they're kind of hybriding that thing, I guess you could say, kind of like what they're doing in the ATV motocross world. That's pretty interesting. Well, wow, man, you have really opened up a few can of worms for me, Mike. I wish I would have allotted a little more time for you tonight because you've got some good information. Actually, why don't we do this next week? Let's talk about a few things next week. Maybe we can throw you in there for a 10 or 15-minute segment to open things up, possibly.
Okay, well, we can do that.
All righty. Sounds real good. Think of some good stuff that we can talk about, and I know you will. And get me what information you can, man. Maybe we can get Laz to join in on it or something like that.
Yeah, I'll send him a message, a text message, and say, hey, Laz, you need to get some plugs in here for your business. Because I know there's already people wanting to know on the kit once he gets it done. Because there's others that are wanting to move theirs up because he's doing spindles and all kinds of stuff. I think he's already retroed a swing arm from a 450R on one, but he's also going to do the A-arms and the spindles. And this is just stuff I've been reading off QuadZone. Because he's got that information posted on QuadZone on what he wants to do to the quad, but I don't think he's let the cat out of the bag to too many people on whose it is. So.
Wow. And you're not even going to give us a hint. What color is he riding right now? What color is he riding right now?
Well, considering the majority of the field is on Yamaha, let's just go with that.
You don't. Wow, I guess I can narrow it down. Not in the top 5 and on a Yamaha. Boy,
well, and I will say this, my pit crew got to see firsthand Chris Boris's quad catch on fire since it caught on fire right in front of my truck and trailer. So
wow,
we'll just change the subject there before I.
You know, I've been hearing a lot of things in that department. I ain't gonna go any further than that.
On what Boris will be riding next year, it could be any one of the quads probably if Suzuki don't step up.
No doubt, exactly. I'll tell you what, man. Let's just we're going to you're going to be part of the silly season madness, and that's what we're going to deem it as, and we're going to let you just stir the pot for us this year, all right? Well, Mike, I got Thomas Brown coming up here in just a couple of moments, and we're going to switch gears to ATV motocross. But, buddy, I really appreciate you taking this time to to talk with us tonight because it has been a joy. And like I say, next week I want more, man. I want more. Get me more, all right?
Yes, I'll have to see what Laz will allow me to say, or see if I can get him to chime in maybe a little bit and give some actual dirt on it. He may not give out names or anything, but he may give some little secrets on stuff that he's going to be doing to the quad.
Well, that right there, that will be interesting enough, and just to get to poke on Laz a little bit will be fun too. So.
Oh yeah, he's always fun to talk to.
All right, Mike. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go, bro?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all my sponsors and all the people that help me out in the pits and that at the track. John Hendra Honda, Power Store, GT Thunder, of course, Steel MX, ITP, and Stand at ITP, Hyper, Liat, neck braces. They do wonders. Hauser, the whole Hauser crew is a great, Hauser Racing, they're a great crew there. Twin Air, Cylinder Works, Hot Cams, Hot Rods, Pivot Works, Vertex Pistons, Pacific Health, and GoPro. That all the products I'm running, and these guys have helped me out great this year so far, and I'd just like to thank them all, and everybody back at home, and my girlfriend for being so patient with the race season and putting up with me while I'm out wrenching on the four-wheeler late at night or all weekend instead of spending time with her, basically. So.
Oh, wow. She's perfect. Marry her.
Yeah.
Marry her.
You're not the first person to tell me that. I've been asked that many times. Where's the ring and this and that?
No, let me take that back. Don't marry her. You've got a good thing going.
I actually went out and bought her a four-wheeler earlier this year. So.
Wow. So is she going to ride?
Yeah, she rides a little bit. It's something new to her. She's having fun though on it. So it's just a small little Can-Am, so I got her DS250, so just something to play around on.
Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad that you're spreading the love. Bro, thanks. We'll talk to you next week, all right?
All right, thanks, Rodney.
All right, that's Super Trap. He's got to become a big part of this quad radio, especially heading into the crazy season. There's no doubt about it. As we shift gears here, we are getting ready to go live here, I guess, in just a moment with Thomas Brown. Stand by as more Quad Radio Live is on the way. All brought to you by your friends at Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions, ATV.com on the World Wide Web. Impact Solutions at Facebook. And also they are your factory authorized service center in Parkersburg, West Virginia for Elka Suspension. 985 Harris Highway, Parkersburg, West Virginia. 304-863-0025 is the number you want to dial. Stand by. Thomas Brown is coming up next. And a good evening once again as we welcome you back to Quad Radio Live, brought to you by your friends at Impact Solutions. And now we go live with one Thomas Brown, AMA ATV National Motocross Championship star, and the number 84 T. Brown Yamaha ride from 2012. What's going on, Thomas?
Oh, not much. Just been enjoying being back home for a little bit, taking a little bit of a break. Just enjoying life.
There you go, man. Texas it is, I guess, is where you're at, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely glad to be home in Texas. It's still warm here. I've been hearing everybody's having snow up north now, and I can safely say we were nowhere near that.
Yeah. From what I understand, I seen a posting on my wall, actually, a little bit ago from Dick Sellers, I guess it was. He said that there's a big race going on down in Texas coming up, $5,000 per person, everything coming up, huh?
Oh yeah, it's like the yearly deal we have is North vs. South, PKA, and it's a long-start racing series in South Texas that more like Houston, Louisiana area, and then we go to TPA up north, which is Texas, Oklahoma, and then every year we either go south or go north, and the two series battle each other out for, you said bragging rights, and, obviously I've been having keep race. That's where I started at, so I'll be there racing, and hopefully be able to bring home a little bit of that pro purse.
There you go. There you go. A little extra chump change there in the wintertime, and the off-season always helps out a little bit. And with that, what else has been going on with you, man? I mean, other than being at home, how long have you been there?
Man, actually, I came home right after Loretta's and planned to stay home, but it did not work out like that. Ended up right after I came home, Chad called me and said he got a championship party, and man, I couldn't turn down a good invitation to have a little bit of fun, so I went up there and then came back home to a TQA race. Actually done a couple of those. Been going pretty fun with those. Just finishing off their series now, and then went up to the Montreal Supercross, which is a huge weekend for Yamaha in itself. Me and Chad were able to go 1-2 all weekend from qualifying to heat race to Maine. So it was a solid weekend, but Chad definitely took the win. I was wanting to steal that from him. Not let him have everything in 1 year, but he took it and he ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, tell me, that's something that I don't know a whole lot about. I remember seeing Todd Swigert from ATV Underground, which if you guys haven't checked out ATV Underground, that's definitely one website that you want to start checking out, I think, a little more often, because they're going to become more and more involved in the world of ATV motocross especially. But Todd went up there. I guess you and Upperman and a few other guys went up. Huno went up, and tell us a little bit about the Montreal Supercross, I guess, and what it's all about.
We had everybody from the AMA Top 5 except for Joel. Joel didn't make it up, but we had Natalie, Upperman, myself, Weenan, Josh Beamer showed up, Richard Pelchat, and then a whole bunch of other Canadian riders were there. It was a really sweet race, 40,000 plus fans. I got to give a big shout out to Team Ballmer right now for providing me, Chad, and Uppy, all of us, with the chance to go up there. They set it all up for us. Basically, all I had to do was get to their place, and basically I had to get to Chad's, and me and Chad met up and drove up to Friday. It was like Detroit and met with them guys, and they took us all the way, had a stick set up, and took care of us the whole 9 yards. We had star treatment up there from them guys, and it was a good race to show up and take a 1-2 finish for those guys.
That's pretty wild. Now, who promotes that exactly? I mean, is it just an ATV event that draws 40,000 people, or is there more going on that weekend? I mean, what is the Montreal Supercross all about? Because from what I understand, I've heard there's like a lot of different things going on, and ATV is just one of the premier things that takes place there.
Yeah, I mean, actually it's part of, which is, I'm not sure the Canadian series, but it's the final round of their series. But it has bikes, quads, and side-by-sides. There was a lot of fast bike riders there. I don't know, maybe you don't know the bike riding scene, but if you do, Matt Gorky, and people like that are all showed up there that race Canadian series. And they're putting on a good show for the 450 bikes, and then had quads and side-by-sides. I know there were several side-by-side drivers like Josh Fredericks, Cody Miller, Sean Hess, and people that made it their way up there from the States to try to represent the U.S. up there in Canada.
No, that's cool. So, obviously 40,000 fans, and they were screaming when the ATVs were out there, I bet, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was wild. It was pretty cool. They were screaming for the bikes, the 450 bikes the night before, so it was a tough show to put on top of that one. We came off, and, man, the crowd was going favorite and crazy. Me, Chad, and we all did like a little victory lap and went up across the stands. There was kids hanging over about falling off trying to give high fives. And they were all pumped about it. And I liked going up there. They were obviously into it, and I think we could bring quad racing to Supercross. We proved it there. We didn't get to do all the sections of bike. They had this one pretty nasty section that we didn't get to do, but I was glad in some ways we didn't have to try it, but in other ways I want to see if we can do it. I'd like to get this opportunity to prove that we can pull on Supercross track.
That would be pretty neat, man. And unfortunately, I have absolutely no pull in that direction. But that is, that's something I've been hearing a lot about lately. There's some people that are trying to actually get something like that going, and I think it would be neat if it would happen. whether or not it does or don't, I don't know. I hope it does. But anyway, I mean, the idea of it's pretty cool. But, I mean, I guess a lot of the people question, and, I come from a promoting side of the racing world, not so much the racing side of the world. I mean, I grew up riding motorcycles and ATVs and everything, but I never raced them. When I got into it, I basically was from the promotion end of it. So, I always got to hear, from the bike standpoint, the quads mess up the track, and the ATVs, the bikes mess up the track for the ATVs. It's kind of like a double-edged sword for both, and it was always tough to run both in the same venue. And I got to wonder, I mean, how does a program and a format of that program work? I mean, do you guys do all your qualifying and everything on the same track? Do they just go out and regroom the track in between each race? Is that how that all works, or what goes on exactly?
I'll tell you what, with the way they guys did up there, we were intermixed with them. The only really great grooming they did between our practices and the bike qualifying, because there's a bike qualifying before us and a bike qualifying after us. They went up and touched a couple of the faces up. They got really rutted. But if you'll notice on any Supercross, there's not a lot of ruts in the corners. They try to keep the ground really tacky and wet with just water in it, and that's what they did up there. It allowed a good tacky track for us to ride on that we didn't get dry slicked out, and then there was bike ruts in some of the corners, but the majority of them were just tacky corners. So being a Supercross track, there's not a lot of ruts for us to ruin, so it's more of it benefits or doesn't hurt each other as much indoors as it does outdoors, where it's just more like red blood. So you can't be on the same track as a bike.
Right. So this marriage is not real far from the realm of possibility then, I guess, in reality.
No, I mean, our track, I'm not going to say it was the most perfect quad track out there, but for the 2 minutes they did between their moto while they were on the podium until our gate dropped, we didn't have bases that were all rutted up. There was one or two corners with a rut in it, and other than that, the track was money. It was just super hooked up. I wish I could have rode a bike on it so I could have the bike aspect from it, but from what I said, it looked like it was good for both. It just allowed really good racing.
Now, what about the opinion of the bike riders? I mean, like we say here in the United States, those guys, whenever you take an ATV to a motocross track, motorcycle track, there's always that animosity, it seems, amongst the two-wheelers because the four-wheelers are there. Do you guys seem to feel any of that going on up there during this event or during the show, or do you guys see a lot of the respect and stuff coming from those guys?
Didn't really see much of the bike riders in general anyways. I didn't see no negative towards us, but I didn't see no positive from them either. Just kind of everybody was doing their thing, and nobody really worried about anything else. I didn't know any bike riders, so I couldn't ask any up there, but it was, as far as I could tell, I didn't hear no disrespect. So I always say that as a positive.
Yeah, I think so. That's good. I mean, I'm just kind of asking these questions, just wondering about the realm of the possibilities. Maybe somebody out there might listen to this and think, hey, that might have some pool or something, and say maybe they can try that at a couple. I think it would be, honestly, I think it would be one of the most spectacular things from a crowd standpoint. They would just be amazed. I mean, they're already amazed at what motorcycles could do, and if they could see what the ATVs could do, I think that it would really just bring, it'd be money for the show as far as I'm concerned. But nonetheless, that's a pretty neat thing. And this is something that's been going on for quite some time. I mean, this isn't just something that started like this year or last year or anything.
No, the Montreal Supercross has been going on years and years, and we always get invited back, and they always seem to love to have us up there. I think it's a great opportunity if we can get to more Supercross venues like that. Obviously, we're going to be second-hand to dirt bikes. They've been around for a long time. They have a following. But if we could come in and show them that what we can do, I think we would impress not only other people outside of our industry, but people in the ATV industry as a whole. From me riding a few Supercross tracks, I impressed myself with what I could do on a track in just a day or so. You can match a lot of stuff the bike guys can do. It's a little harder. I mean, the bike's a little easier on some of the jumps, but in some of the stuff, the quad's a little bit better. So I think we'd impress a lot of people.
That's pretty interesting. And I know I really enjoyed the aspect of the whenever you guys went to Steel City and raced, and I can't remember if you were a part of that or not, if you were a pro-am or a pro at that point, but the Open, the ATV Open they used to have at Steel City, that was always a pretty neat thing, and I know that everybody was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, that was really cool. Actually, I got to go to it once. Actually, got to show up and watch it once. It would have been right after I won my Pro-Am championship, but I was told that I wasn't sure if I was allowed to race that and not go back to Pro-Am the next year because we weren't sure if we were going to move up or not, or try to defend that Pro-Am title. So had to sit there and watch it, and then was obviously planning on doing it for sure the next year, and it ended that year, so I was kind of bummed out about that. But it was definitely a great race. It seemed like it worked pretty smooth. I wish we still had it. It just it was tough because definitely on an outdoor track, the bike runs are way more important to the bike, and they mess us up just as much as it messes them up for destroying them. Yeah. So it's kind of tough to have us on the same track, the same venue. It would have to be a one-moto format, kind of like that thing, like that race was. That way they could prep the track before and after. But I'd be willing to go to a one-format race at some races just to get to show our skills off and show what quad racing can do.
Yeah, I think that that would be pretty neat. I think a lot of people were impressed with that. But on to what's going on here in the real world, I guess, of ATV motocross, at least the here and now. What is exactly? So you have you came home, you went to party, and then you came back home. So what's been going on at home besides the local races? I mean, have you been training? You've been working? You just been kind of hanging out, lazing?
Man, I was hoping to come home and just become a lazy bum and chill, but I can't do that. I've been still working out in the gym. I've been riding on the weekends. Not pushing the riding too much, just riding for fun more than anything, riding my dirt bike some. But haven't got to sit back too much. I'm either working out or trying to get stuff done around the house. Being gone all year kind of gets behind and trying to help the old man catch back up. But, I take racing as a full-time job, so trying to catch back up and get things going for next year. Hopefully looking at a bigger and better program. Not sure where we're going with anything yet, but just definitely looking at coming back and racing next year, and I don't expect nothing less than a title for next year.
Wow. Thomas, you really started showing your cards there toward the end of last year. That's exactly what you did this season. That's what you did last year too, and it was a positive note all the way through the off season for you. And it seems like you left on a positive note again, and you're pretty amped up about next year.
Yeah, definitely. As the race season went on, our bike got better and better, and I got more and more healthy. Coming off of an injury like that was the first time for me. So it was different. I had to adapt to it, and I feel like I did pretty good. But coming off the highs of last year and then coming into this year, never really finished outside the top 5 except for Loretta's, and I feel like Loretta's was my best race. But it just kept building all year, and I think if we could have had a solid off season and not taken 2 months off right before the first race, we could have pulled through and started off like we ended it. Like I said, I think Loretta's was by far the best race for me. Battled up front, it was just intense battling, and man, I went 4-3 for 6 or 5-3 for 6, which is unheard of. Normally that puts you on the podium, and that put me outside the top 5. That just shows how tight that battle was up front, and I was glad to be a part of it, and it was duking it out. I duked it out with Creamer, Valley, Chad. We all had good battles going, so I was really excited about that race. And like I said, I was glad to leave on a high note and just carry that into next year, trying to work on a bigger and better program. And hopefully we have some news in the next month or so and be able to start releasing stuff.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is there anything that you can talk about right now? I mean, I don't know what your standing was with your contracts with Yamaha or anything like that, but I didn't know if you were looking at bike changes or total program changes or just trying to keep things pretty much the same and expanding on that or what?
I only had a 1-year deal with Yamaha this year, but man, that bike is awesome. I have no reason to want to change. I want to stay with them. I feel like I've got a good relationship with them. Definitely working with them to try to get a program going for next year, but we haven't finalized on anything yet, so right now I'm still a free agent, but definitely working towards getting back on that blue machine. Just come back out and stick with a similar program. Definitely on the Yamaha is what I'd like to see, but we wait and see. I know the only thing I can release for sure is that I'll be racing and hopefully bringing home a championship to Texas.
There you go. I like it, man. I like that. Now, speaking of helping Dad around the farm, now let's go back to the personal aspect of Thomas Brown's life. I mean, you said you've been away for a while and this and that, and you helping Dad around the house and around the bit. What is it exactly? What is the family business? What is it that you guys do back there in Texas?
Well, my parents own a heat and air conditioning business, refrigeration, all commercial stuff. So I've helped him out a day or two, but for some reason he just doesn't like me on job sites. I think more or less he just wants me to concentrate on racing, let me keep doing my thing. But get home, help out around the house. I still live in my motorhome at home, so that's my home on wheels. But help out around the shop, clean it up, because I make a little bit of a mess when I come home and I load 8 bikes into the shop when he's not expecting them. So kind of got to get stuff organized and just try to get things ready to sell. Got multiple bikes right now for sale and stuff, so it's anything you get old bikes in, old bikes out, and get new bikes in.
Did you say 8 bikes?
Yeah, when I came home, I had collected a few over the years, and just from like cross country bikes and old race bikes and practice bikes, I had 1 or 2 laying around. So I'm got them all back together and have them all up for sale right now.
Wow, where can we find out where those are at?
You can contact me on my Facebook, which is Facebook at Thomas Brown 84, or Twitter at Thomas Brown 84 too. Or even if you don't have either of those, you can email me at Thomas Brown, or not Thomas Brown, but it's ThomasMX84 at yahoo.com. Mainly just hit me up, and I think I got 2 practice bikes for sale, both under 10, and then I got race bikes with only 3 or 4 races on them that are in awesome condition, full race, just the way they came off the track. So wow. I'm trying to get those going too. They're good deals, so I'm hoping they'll go pretty quick.
I imagine they will, man. I imagine they will, because they run like scalded dogs. There's no doubt about it. That's for sure. Now, you mentioned cross country there. I know Chad Wienen, and I assume Chad's still planning on running the Ironman here in a couple of weeks, correct?
Well, he actually got some bad news. He had overbooked himself, and he had a trip going to New Zealand to race the New Zealand National, and he didn't realize it was the same week as an Ironman, so I know he will not be able to do the Ironman now. He was bummed about that. He was going to try to top my finish out there, I guess, 2 years ago. I told him that the overall finish doesn't count. It's how high you get up at one point. So he had to get up higher than second.
There you go. So you had to lead for a little bit. Now, are you going to be coming to Ironman?
No, I don't plan to. If I do, I'm just coming to spectate. I told myself if I ever did another one, I'm definitely going to train and get a full bike preparation. Last time I did it was a last-minute deal. I had a week on the bike, and I never did any 2-hour races really before. So it was different for me. So I was fast for about 45 minutes and then put the brakes on hard. So I told myself if I ever do it again, I'm going to come out there to finish good. Definitely I just wasn't able to put a program together to get a bike out there and get it ready in time for the end of this year. But, I would like to do it again, but it's going to have to be done right.
Right. I understand. It's a lot of fun, but I know you guys are competitive when you go out. You want to do well. Josh Upperman was actually in Ohio this past weekend, and I'm not sure how he finished. He finished this time.
I believe he got 10th or 11th.
Yeah, he did actually.
I was actually following that. I was pretty pumped for him.
Yeah, he did a lot better, and actually I think what he was more impressed with than anything was the fact that he actually finished this time. I think he's raced a couple of other times before and not been able to finish.
Yeah, I knew he had problems finishing before, because last time we did it, he raced Ironman the same year I did, and he broke down and I finished. But I was wishing I broke down, and he wishing he would have finished. I was so beat after that race, I wish I could have stopped 3 laps in where he did, because I would have still been in like top 5 instead of being back there in 50th or wherever I fell back to. And he was on the move forward, so we were wishing we could have traded spots at that point.
That's funny. That's funny, and it's really neat to see you guys getting the opportunity to cross over. I know it's some of those guys have crossed over to race motocross before, but they never seem to make as big a splash as what you guys do. And here's the way it usually works out. And it cracks me up because Jen Kenyon, the media manager for Racer Productions and the GNCC and everything over there, she says, is it going to be the traditional ATV motocross or GNCC race where he gets out front and maybe gets the whole shot and leads the first lap and then like quits after the first lap or breaks down after the first lap? I'm like, whoo, you haven't been around long, but the funny thing about it is that does seem to be the way that things work out there.
Yeah, they're two totally different types of racing. And it's good to see people switch over. I've seen more of the MX guys go to cross country. I kind of want them to. I want to see a couple more of the cross country guys come over and battle it out with us.
Now,
it'd be good to see both.
Serious? No, come on, man. Are you sure you want to see some of those Woods guys on a motocross track?
Dude, I mean, I talked Kaiser into doing it 2 years ago at the balance race, and he definitely thought it was going to be a little easier than it was. As I've admitted, man, them guys are beasts on the GNCC side to go 2 hours like that. But, man, it's not easy. It's not as easy, I think, some will think, to do a 20-minute motocross race. Yeah, we're only out there for 20 minutes, but it's a dead sprint. It's two different types of racing, man, and it's tough to switch back and forth, but it's fun to do both. I think it helps out both. I mean, I know a lot of them cross-country guys. I've seen them out there in Florida and stuff, and, man, they can throw motos down. I would want them to come race with us to be entertainment and be more exposure to both sides of the sport.
I think it'd be neat to see Chris Borich race motocross. I hear he's getting pretty good at it. I know I've seen Chris Bithell do it. Bithell's not too bad at it. He did it at Unadilla there 1 year, if I'm not mistaken, with the Can-Am team. And let's see. See, like you said, Taylor Kaiser has done it. And I'm sure there's probably been some more, but there are more motocrossers that go over and try the Woods thing. I guess it's because, like I say, man, I mean, there's not many people that want to see Woods guys out there airing it out. Now, Walker Fowler, I think I'd like to see him try it. I think that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. I would definitely say there's several of them guys. I mean, don't let them fool you. They might not bust it out, but like I said, I see them out in Florida busting out motos and going riding hard on a moto track. Walker being one of them, he has just about as much style as anybody. I still think I got a whip on him, though. He's been showing all these whip pictures of these GMCC guys, but I don't think he has anything for a motocross whip.
Have you seen Walker doing the big hill clickers and everything over the Sky Shot during the GNCCs and stuff?
I've seen pictures of it. I don't expect nothing less from it. It's cool to see him do that, especially in a 2 hour race. I'd probably be able to do it for like the first lap. After that, you just see me rolling it because I'd be so dead. It's cool to see him busting that out every lap.
It is, and what's really magnificent about that is not only the fact that he busts them out lap after lap after lap, but the crowd that joins in, and so many people come just to watch Walker Fowler do that. They get to stand out there, kind of closer on the track than they do for the motocross, so they're a little more up close and personal for it. But, I mean, there's a crowd that gathers around that Sky Shot jump just to watch Walker Fowler go across. And now that Walker does it, I mean, he's kind of raised the bar for everybody. So even Brian Wolf, man, he was leading the first lap out there, and he was like, he didn't do any tricks, but he knew if he was going to stay on the lead, he had to at least jump that thing.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad to see them guys doing that. Like I said, it's a pretty big jump, so I see a couple of them moving over, but man, that just gets me pumped right there hearing about Walker bringing a crowd to the motocross side of the GNCC, just seeing him throwing out a little trick.
Oh, yeah, and I think that helps bring some of the crowd. I think that the crowd has really been getting so much better year after year at Unadilla. The more years we spend there, especially going to the Saturday program, I think it's really been a big benefit to the ATV motocross as far as New York is concerned. And actually, as a whole, I think this whole Saturday program has been a home run. And we're seeing in this year, correct me if I'm wrong, but man, it looked to me like a lot of those there were a lot more fans out this year than what we've seen in years past.
Oh, I would agree. Speaking of your Dillon, man, they always have a huge crowd there, and like you said, it gets bigger and bigger every year. But just at all the races in general, I mean, this is the first year I had to reorder autograph stock to come back in because I ran out, and I ran out halfway through the season.
Nice.
When I told the guys at Yamaha that, they were shocked because we'd never done that before in full seasons. I never asked for more autograph stock. So, you know, and I think I get 10,000 sheets at a time. I did 10,000 by the fifth race.
Wow.
Or maybe 1,000 sheets. I'm not sure which one it is. It has to be 1,000, not 10,000. How's that? That number seems way big after I said it.
I like the number 10,000.
Awesome.
I like the 10,000 number there. That was pretty cool. I was thinking, dang, man, that's a lot of autographs.
We're working that way. We're working that way. So 1,000 autograph sheets by the fifth race. So, you know, and that's pretty cool. You know, I mean, I'm doing like 500 a race or something like that. But yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I'm pumped to be able to do that. Some races,
you race motocross. You're not a mathematician, right?
No, I figured that out. It's over 200 per race, right at 200 per race average.
250.
We'll
go 250.
Right
yeah, 5 races.
I was definitely homeschooled.
I have those moments too, man. It ain't got anything to do with anything like that. I know you, but you're right. It is more around the 5 races, 200. Yeah, about 2. That's pretty good. And let me ask you something about the night race at Balance. I know that it was the first time we've ever done it, but I mean, all in all, I think that was a huge success. What about you guys as riders? I mean, you guys have had some time to think about it. And I've heard that, you know, there's some guys that were kind of sketched out because the lighting wasn't as good as it probably should have or could have been, or whatever the case may be. But in general, you know, I mean, what did you think about that? Did you think it was a program that could work, or is it something that you wouldn't want to try again?
You know, looking at 2F6, it looks like we had a lot bigger turnout. It looks like we could even get more out next year. Definitely need to aim that when school's still in college there at Western Kentucky. But in general, the racing part was kind of scary. I didn't like it so much personally, but it's something that I think we could get used to. And then year after year, the lighting and stuff's going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
The track will, I think, maybe have a race from before the weekend ahead of time with the lights. There could be a little bit more preparation with the lights, but all in all, I think it's a really good venue to do it at. It's a nice, tight track. I would like to see it done again. As much as everything was great about it, except for my results. So honestly, if I don't feel like I did too hot there, but man, there was so much racing going on. That was
there
so
was
much like fans involvement. That race was so cool.
And, you know, that brings me to another question. If I remember right, that was a pretty short lap time, right?
Yeah, it was fairly short, but I think that with the track length was okay. It just needed to be slowed down some.
Right.
The track needed to be slower. That way
yeah,
we could...
it was like Roller City. I remember that. Yeah, there was a lot of rollers, so... there was a lot of opportunity. Yeah, so I'm sure, and with that, yeah, I mean, and the lighting, I think it'll be easier to light it if you design the track a little bit too. But you know, I'm probably opening up a pretty big can of worms here, and I've got my opinion on this, and I'll share it after you, and it'll probably be playing devil's advocate with you. And I don't want to get in any arguments or anything like that. But over the course of the season, and we would go to some of the tracks, and the lap times were, you know, not as long as some other laps, tracks. Lap times varied from track to track, you know, and say Walnut, Illinois, there was a section that they cut out for whatever reasons. But anyway, I know that there were a few people that were upset about that, and you were one of those. But in the end, whenever that one was all said and done, do you think that the lap times being more around the minute 30 mark, minute 20 mark to minute 30 mark produces the better racing visually for the spectators and possibly even tighter racing for you guys than maybe, say, some of the traditional long tracks like, say, Redbud or something like that?
Visually, sometimes a short track would be better for the spectators to see. The racing aspect, at that race, I don't think it would have changed anything. I think we would have had a great battle up front either way. Obviously, I wasn't a part of the first moto. The second moto, I know we had a spectacular battle up front. Bigger tracks like Redbud, both the last 2 years I've been there, there was awesome battles throughout the whole pack.
And that was a big track.
And lap times, we would always like to see more longer lap times. We're racing motocross. We're out there to do it. We're out there to separate the men from the boys. But I think the best thing is to run full tracks with the correct amount of roughness. I mean, the tracks need to get nasty and rough once again we're racing motocross.
Well, and don't you think that shorter tracks will lend itself to getting a little rougher for you guys? And here's my take on it. I like, and it's going to sound kind of silly whenever I get done with it, but I'm going to tell you my personal take on this. I like the shorter tracks for the purpose of watching a good race, keeping things tight, and very, very interesting as far as that goes. I also like the long tracks, like the Redbuds and stuff, for the, because I think some tracks are better long and some tracks are better short. And I guess it's kind of like that's what's really nice about the series, is that some tracks are longer and some tracks are shorter, so you get a good variation of both. And, some guys perform better maybe on a shorter track, and some guys maybe on a longer track, a smoother track, a rougher track, yada, 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 whatever the case may be. But I honestly like the mix of it. I wouldn't mind seeing a lap time as short as a minute 10 at some – it'd be like a Martins, like a real short what is that racetrack, the NASCAR track down in Virginia or whatever it is? Like, is that Martinsville or whatever, where it's like a half mile or something like that? I mean, you got those short tracks, and then you got the long tracks like Redbud. But, that's – I'm all over the place on that one. But honestly, I think the variation is good, but from the ultimate standpoint, I'd rather see more shorter tracks ultimately than I would the longer tracks. I think that the shorter tracks produce the better racing, personally.
You're up there in the tower, you see more than I do. Obviously, I've made it very clear. I've tried to make – I want to do the best for the series we can, whatever it takes that to make the series grow, as we obviously need. But I would disagree with that. I think that the longer tracks this year show better racing. Redbud being one of them, had great battles there.
Right.
Bud's Creek, we put all the sections in there, and that track came spectacular.
Yeah.
The shorter tracks like the first moto at Balance, being the shortest track of the year, was a pretty good battle. The second moto, Joel and John were behind each other, but there was no battling. They never pulled beside each other. I got to watch it just on TV the other day, and it was a fairly boring race to watch because everybody fell in. There was nothing to separate anybody.
Yeah, you're right.
And personally, I think the longer tracks are better, and it happens to be the longer tracks are true outdoor national tracks that have been around for years for the dirt bikes as well as us.
And honestly, right there, I think that right there might have a big part to do with it too, because I think those bigger outdoor national tracks that have been around for some reason seem to just produce the better racing, period. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not the length. Maybe it's just the track itself.
Yeah, I think so. I think I like those tracks to be longer but if we had a better, shorter track, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But the thing I don't like is when we go to a track, and I don't like to go to a track like High Point, and they have 2 or 3 sections cut out. It's like they got all this cool stuff that we could try to do and things like that. Like High Point was a big controversy because of a big double in the middle. I know none of us jumped in the race, but I hit it in practice and was able to clear it. It was too far out of the line. But if we could have manicured it better, we could have done it. There's a lot more tracks like that. Like I said, the short tracks aren't a bad thing, but when you're cutting sections out, that's whenever I think a lot of us get frustrated. And then the other thing, like you said, is those bigger outdoor tracks kind of know how to prep the tracks to make them get rough. And we got to try to make these tracks rough as possible, because when one line gets rough, another line will open because somebody will find that smooth line.
and they'll go back and forth all day, and they'll make better racing.
Okay. All right, just out of curiosity, best track of the season this year, you think?
I'm going to have to go with Redbud on it. I think, that's just a normal – that track's just awesome. There's no other way around it. That track's awesome.
I agree. That is a magnificent place, and I just got to say that I think we saw all around. I thought we saw a really good championship this year, and I think that we've got a good championship in store for us. Hopefully, most of you guys are going to be back. I've heard, there's a couple of guys that won't be back, but there's guys that's moving up. I'm hoping there'll be more guys move up, and maybe even more guys return. What are you kind of hearing through the field right now, man? You're coming back. Obviously, Chad's coming back. John Natale, I assume, is coming back. Joel will be back. Josh, I don't know what's going on. I assume Josh Upperman will be back. Mark Madowanu will be back. And really past that, I'm not real sure what's going on.
I'm kind of the same boat as yours. I don't really know. I do want to mention on one thing, kind of bugging people's ear, something that I've been thinking about, and it's something that I've talked to a few other pro riders and feel about, and they kind of agreed with me, was we got to get that pro gate full. We need to not necessarily take stuff away from the pro-am riders to get them to move up, but we need to make that finish top 10 in the pro class more honorable than winning the pro-am. By doing that, I think we'll get people on the gates of the pro class and make that pro class more honorable and make the whole class and the whole sport grow.
Mm-hmm.
With us only having 10 pros on the gate, it doesn't look good for us.
Mm-mm.
But there is plenty of guys in that pro-am class that can move up. And they're scared to move up because they can make more money, they can get more exposure by winning the pro-am class. But if we make it so that they can make the same amount of money and get more exposure by breaking into that top 10 in the pro class than they can winning the pro-am, it's kind of what we need to do. I think we almost need to take a little bit of credit away from the pro-am class. That way the pro class can explode and use all that energy that we were using on the pro-am class to honor everybody in the top 10 of the pro class,
mm-hmm.
and just explode with the pro class as the leader of it all. I think that would just be I think that's the way direction we kind of need to look at maybe going.
Right. Give those guys a reason to want to step up, the exposure, the whatever, But I'm going to tell you where the problem lies in that, and I'm going to prelude this right here, Thomas, with the fact that, yes, I do work for Racer Productions and MX Sports. I announce and do some writing and things for them. This quad radio thing, in my opinion, is nothing to do with the people that I work for or anything like that. So what I'm going to say is it doesn't have anything to do with the people that I work for. The problem lies in the sponsors, period. I'm telling you that right now. Why?
No, I agree. I fully agree with that, but we and I think that if we got the sponsors on board and work as a team to do that, it would be, and I agree, because people get contingency for running pro-am. That's why they want to stay pro-am. It's not from the money they make at the track. I think if we all shift shift all our attention that way, and get people on board with it. I think it makes the whole sport better.
Yeah, I've had people tell me, man. I mean, they've told me that they want people that are winning a class rather than finishing 8th or 9th or 10th in the class, regardless if it is the pro class, because they want people that are winning, and somehow or another, that's unfortunately the way it works. And then unfortunately what you get is you get a spectacular battle and a spectacular race and spectacular personalities of these people that are working their way up through the ranks, and they're we're expecting them to be the next big thing and move up into the pro class. And aside from the sponsors, everybody's scared of that big step. That's what everybody keeps talking about, the step. They can go and run, maybe a good solid top 10, but to run a top 5 it's a whole different level up there, man. 20+2 running top 5 in an AMA Pro ATV race. It can make a person feel a little demeaned. I mean, it can take a little bit of wind out of your sails.
Oh, I understand that fully. I've been there. I've made that jump, and it's tough. That's why I was saying, it seems less and less nowadays because we have so few on the gate. When I made the jump, we had full gates or close to it, and it was an honor for me. The goal was for the year to finish top 10, and nowadays it doesn't seem like that's anybody's goals anymore because there's so few of us. But you got to choose your battles. You got to make that jump at some point.
I agree.
And the thing is that me finishing top 10 back then was a good deal. Me breaking into the top 5 at 2 races my rookie year was huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much like that anymore. It's there's not so many of us out there, so you just got a few mistakes from a few people. Where back then I had to have a lot of people make mistakes or me have a really good race, whichever way it worked out, to get up there and battle like that. But that's where I was trying to say, we need to make it honorable for the top 10. And like you said, that it's not sponsors, it's the sponsors, not the promoters. I agree. But I think the sponsors can help and the promoters can help by, even eliminating, just throwing it out there. I don't want no bad feedback from it. It's just ideas bouncing off right now. I want everybody to kind of think about it so we can make the sport grow. But to take away one of the Pro-Am classes, make it an amateur class. That way, the guys that are running 2 Pro-Am classes, instead of running 2 Pro-Am classes, they ran a Pro class and a Pro-Am class. That way they get their exposure for one day in the Pro-Am class, and the other day they can get their feet wet in the Pro class and see how they do. And I think that a lot of them will start surprising themselves.
Yep, I like that. That does make a lot of sense. I can't argue with that. But maybe I know we've done it in winters past, but I think that maybe we need to take it upon ourselves, maybe to at least part of the show, Thomas. Me myself as an announcer, I need to spice things up, and you guys need to give me some fresh ideas, and we need to experiment with a few things and bounce a few ideas and see what we can come up with to, if nothing else, showcase those top 10 as they roll through that first lap, that sight lap that they take before the gate drops. Give them that premierness that they need and that they deserve. So maybe we can work on that this winter and make that happen, and at least get that step in the right direction anyway. And I like the idea that you've got. I think I've heard that idea actually. So maybe that's something that's going to take some momentum and might actually be something that actually comes to pass. So we'll see what happens. But unfortunately, I was noticing that a lot of the pro classes, even GNCC's experiencing the same thing. Even on the motorcycle side of things, it's tough to get those guys to step up from the XC2 class up to the XC1 class. And again, it's fear of the big step, and sponsors are paying a lot of money for those guys to hang back and get some decent results back there as well for whatever reason. And with those guys being the next big thing, the media can't ignore them, especially when you got the battles that you have going on and some of the names that you have making their way through those ranks, on their way to hopefully someday the pro class. But anyway, with all that said, I think that we've given a lot of things for a lot of people to think about. And again, just personal opinion of myself and Mr. Brown here. We're not trying to stir any pots or anything, but we do want the sport of ATVs to expand and grow. That's for sure.
For sure. And I think we all need to look at each other's ideas there. I think we got a lot we can do. And like you said, it's not going to be one person or one group's efforts. It's got to be the riders, promoters, sponsors. We all got to work together on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think we're all pretty open to it. We just need to sit down and just keep working forward. And I think that's what we're all realizing. And definitely think the sport's on an uphill climb right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've been going downhill, and I finally think we're going up. And sponsors are starting to get more into it. And, man, I'm like to get out of this talk about politics stuff so much. I'm pumped for next year. 2013 seems like it's going to be a great year. And
man, I can't wait for it enough. I think we're going to have great battles, people moving up. I know a lot of people coming back, and if Loretta's has anything to do with it, with the way the finishes were from moto to moto, I think we got one of the best seasons coming up.
Yeah, I think it's only going to keep growing. It's only going to keep getting better and better and better. And when we took a pretty big hit a few years ago, a handful of years ago with the economy and everything else that has happened in the sport. But we are, like you say, everything's looking positive. It sounds like you're positive. Now, just out of curiosity, have you heard of anybody that's moving up that we haven't heard of from the pro-am ranks that have made that commitment yet that you know of?
No, I don't know if anybody's actually committed to it yet. I sure hope so. But I think another thing is they got to see what the schedule's going to do.
Yeah.
With classes and stuff. I hope, kind of what we just said, is we take one of the pro-am classes or something away so these guys can do both. So they're not required to do 2 pro-ams, because if there's a pro-am race and you don't want to waste yourself on the one day doing the other, when everybody else is doing this. But if there's only 2 classes to race, you got yourself an option. But, man, I think it's a golden opportunity. AMA now has that deal where you can race one race at a time. You can get your pro license for one race to try it out. And if we don't have a lot of people move up, I hope we see a lot more doing select events and trying not to jump up to the pro class.
Yep, for sure. Yep, that's good. That's good too. Well, Thomas, we're going to let you go ahead and go, man. I do appreciate you taking the extra time to talk a little politically with us. Heck, man, it's even after 11 o'clock here on the East Coast, and sorry to keep so many people up awake, but a lot of you folks that are listening in, if you maybe caught in late, you can tune back in. We'll have the replay back up on quadradio.com, so you'll be able to keep up to date with what's going on with the world of ATVs and motocross, GNCC, and all that good stuff. Thomas, good luck to you. When is that race coming up in Texas, and where's it at, that $5,000 purse?
It's in Texas. It's down at Three Palms MX, right north of Houston, Texas. It's 3 weekends from now. I believe it's September 27th, or whatever the other day of that weekend is, 26th, 27th, or 27th, 28th, or October, I should say. My bad on that one. But we are looking for a good race. It's hopefully the TCRA will bring it home up there, or down there, bring all the titles up north to us. But, man, everybody want to keep up with me at Twitter at ThomasBrown84, and same on Facebook, ThomasBrown84. Keep everything posted here up to date, and then as soon as I know something on what I plan to ride and who I'll be riding for and stuff like that for next year, I'll be posting it on there. Everybody keep up, and I appreciate it.
All righty, Thomas. Appreciate you, buddy. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you real soon. Go get you some big money down there in Texas, all right?
I plan to bring big money. Everything here in Texas, even our money.
All righty, sounds good. That's Thomas Brown. I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Quad Radio Live.